Welcome to the community of
engineers, the change agents in the society.
Now let's see the relationship among Young's modulus, Poisson's ratio, and modulus of rigidity. First, we look for the formulations which we have done so far. We have discussed the stresses, which is expressed as sigma is equal to load upon the cross section area. This is for the case of axial or normal stress. Then tau is equal to again load upon the cross section area. This is for the case of shear stress. We discussed in detail the strains, that is epsilon deformation upon the original length, and that is for the case of axial or normal strains. Then gamma is equal to pi by 2 minus the changed or the new angle. This is for the case of shear strain. Then we have discussed the modulus of elasticity, represented with symbol E. Now this E is equal to the stress upon the strain. Now this is stress is the load upon the response in terms of that strain. Then the modulus of rigidity, represented with simple symbol G. Now again this G is equal to the tau upon gamma, that is the shear stress. This is the load, and this is a response. Then we discuss the Poisson's ratio, represented with sign nu, and nu is equal to lateral strain upon the axial strain. This is lateral strain upon the axial strain. Then we have the relationship or the relation among the Young's modulus, Poisson's ratio, and modulus of rigidity, and this is G is equal to E upon 2 1 plus nu. So this is very important relationship. If we know the two values, so we can calculate the third value. If we know the Poisson's ratio and the modulus of elasticity, we can calculate the modulus of rigidity, and vice versa. If we know the value of this modulus of rigidity and Young's modulus, we can calculate the Poisson's ratio for that very particular material. Now the composite materials. The composite materials are the materials which are made up of two or more materials. Now composite material is made up of two or more materials. Now these materials are known as the constituent materials. Now here the fiber reinforced composite materials are formed from lamina of fibers. Now one of the constituent material is the fibers. It may be of graphite, glass fibers or the polymer fibers, and embedded in the resin matrix. So the second, that is the resin, the matrix. So normally normal stresses and strains are related by the Hooke's law, but with directional dependent moduli of elasticity. Now in previous case where the material was isotropic means the material was not direction dependent, so we were having only one modulus for isotropic material, which is not direction dependent. We were having one value of this modulus of elasticity, one value of this Poisson's ratio. Now here in this case we have the three values: the modulus of elasticity along x-axis, modulus of elasticity along y-axis, and modulus of elasticity along z-axis. So because this composite material is going to be direction dependent, this is direction dependent. Transverse contractions are related by the directionally dependent value. So similarly for this material we are having the three value of nu xy, nu xz, and nu yz. Materials with directionally dependent mechanical properties are anisotropic. So the material which is independent of direction dependent is isotropic, and which is direction dependent are known as the anisotropic. Now one of the problem once a member is subjected to loading, and load is applied uniformly by putting some metal on the members at the end of the members, and load is applied. Now this load is distributed evenly on the cross section of the member. So this is the case of uniform loading, and wheresoever you will take the value of the stress, that is going to be same. But once you apply a point load or the concentrator load like this in this figure, the concentrator load is applied at a point. Now along this line the value of stress that is going to be very high. And a scientist Saint Variant, he experimentally proved that if the concentrated or point load is applied on a member at the length of the width of that very member, the values of these stresses are going to be at the maximum at the center, and the maximum value that is going to be 1.027 as compared to the minimum value we are going to get at the extreme ends of this member. The minimum value is 0.973. Then average, the average value, you take any value away from this width of that very member. Now if we take the values half of the width along the length, now at this half of the width, the value of this maximum that is going to be 1.387, and whereas minimum value at the ends is going to be 0.6. And if we take further closer to the end, that is 1/4 of that width, the value of maximum that is going to be at the point of application of that very concentrated load, the value at the center that is going to be 2.575 as compared to the values which are minimum values at the extreme ends. So this is more related to the experimental works. Once we are performing some experimental work and we are applying load in terms of the point of the concentrated load, we have to take into account that if we are going to take the readings, we have to take readings away from the width length of that is equivalent to the width, away from the width of the length. Now another important thing, that is the stress concentration, and this is known as the stress concentration factor. Now basically stress is a function of geometry. If we see the stress, that is sigma, that is P upon load upon the cross section area. Now stress is in fact is a function of geometry. Now this is geometry. Now if we have a if we have a member which is not having the consistent cross section, now because of that the stress is going to be varying. So we are seeing that one example that is in terms of hole and the other that is in terms of fillet. In terms of fillet, you have a cross section and suddenly a member of cross section of some cross section, and suddenly that cross section reduces. So because of the reduction in cross section, the value of stress that is going to increase. And similarly with the case of hole, once you have a uniform cross section area of any of the member and in that you have a hole, so again at the location of hole, the cross section area that is going to be reduced. Now with the reduction of cross section area, as per expression, with the reduction of cross section area, the stress is going to be increased. So the where the minimum cross section area is going, that there we are going to observe the maximum stress, and where the the cross section area that is uniform, we take that value as a average stress. And the stress concentration factor is very important in from design point of view, and it is calculated by using this expression, that K, that is stress concentration factor, the maximum value of stress over the average value of stress. And this plot is developed to calculate the stress concentration factor for the isotropic and homogeneous materials. Now along the horizontal axis, we have a ratio of radius upon the smaller diameter. Now this is the ratio of whether you take the fillet. So this is the ratio of the radius of the fillet over the smaller cross section area. Now these lines are showing the ratio of the major or the larger cross section over the smaller cross section. And once we know these two ratios, we can calculate the value of this stress concentration factor, that is K. Now this would be very easy to understand by using this, solving this example. Now in this example we have a fillet, we have a cross section of D, and suddenly after having this fillet the cross section is reduced to this small d. Now in this case determine the largest axial load P. Now in this example we have to find the load P, the value of this load P that can be safely supported by a flat steel bar consisting of two portions. One is having this cross section, the other is having this cross section. Both are having 10 millimeter thickness. So thickness is of this bar that is of 10 millimeter for both the cases, and respectively 40 and 60 millimeter wide. So D here is going to be 60 millimeter and small d is 40 millimeter wide, connected by a fillet of radius R 8 millimeter. So this R is of 8 millimeter. Assume an allowable normal stress that is of allowable stress value that is of 165 megapascal. So with this information we have to calculate the value of that load that is going to be safe for this very member, steel bar. So how to proceed? To proceed that, the first of all we have to determine the geometric ratio and find the stress concentration factor. So we have to calculate the value of K by using that very plot we have just seen, using the ratios of R upon D and D upon D. With these ratios we can calculate the value of this K. Once we have calculated the value of the stress concentration factor, that is K, now we have find the allowable average normal stress using the material allowable. So average normal stress by using this expression, that is K is equal to sigma max upon sigma average. So once we knowing this value, we know the value of this allowable, that is maximum, we can calculate the value of average stress. And once we would be knowing the value of this average stress, now we can simply use this stress E upon cross section area, and we know the value of this cross section of this smaller steel bar member, smaller portion. So we can calculate the value of P that is safe for this steel bar. To proceed with, now first of all we have determined the value of the stress concentration factor. The one of the ratio, that is D upon D, that is 60 millimeter upon 40 millimeter, and we have the value that is 1.5, and the other ratio, that is R upon small d, 8 millimeter upon 40 millimeter, and we have the value of this. Now if we see the horizontal axis of this plot, we see this is the value of 0.2. So R upon D, this is the value of, this is the line which is passing of 0.2. The other, that is D upon D, that is 1.5. Now this is the line that is 1.5, and we have to follow this line, and where it will intersect the line of this point 2, we have to take that value, and horizontally we can draw this is going to be the value of the stress concentration factor. Now here I use this one. Now here, so let's say is going to be this is going to be value of stress concentration factor, that is K. Now after that, find the allowable average normal stress using the material allowable normal stress and the stress concentration factor. Now the maximum stress that is given, that is 1.165 megapascal, and we have calculated the value of this K. Now we can calculate the average stress value with this expression, 165 megapascal divided by this that is universal quantity stress concentration factor of 1.82. We find that the average stress value, that is of 90.7 megapascal. Now apply the definition of normal stress to find the allowable stress. Now again, this P is equal to cross section area average stress. Now this is, since we have the smaller portion of cross section, so width that is a 40 millimeter and the thickness 10 millimeter, and we have the calculated the value of this average stress, that is 90.7 megapascal. So with this we can calculate this value, and the load which is going to be saved for this steel bar, that is going to be 36.3 kilonewton. And with this we end our discussion here.